Oh, buddy. Oh, man. What a bad way to lose a hockey game. And I get it. It wasn't guaranteed that even with some form of a proper breakout and 6-on-5 possession, the Vancouver Canucks would have been able to tie it and eventually win. But what a bad way to lose a game. We're skipping to the end here, folks, because the story of the game is none other than Colin Delia, the guy coming in here in relief of Spencer Martin, and a player who had actually had a good track record heading into tonight's action against Winnipeg. The final stat line for Mr. Colin Delia in this 4-2 Vancouver Canucks defeat at the hands of the Winnipeg Jets is .921 save percentage, 38 shots against, and 35 total saves. The guy had an absolute workload here. And when you take a look at the quality of some of these shots that were stopped by Delia, you had breakaways, especially towards the end of the game, clutch plays, scrambles out in front. Colin Delia was legitimately really good in this game. Unfortunately, Colin Delia giveth the Canucks the chance to win, and Colin Delia taketh the Canucks a chance to win as well, as even though Delia had some really just incredible saves, the miscommunication with the team at the end of the 60-minute frame is going to be what stands out the most. We're skipping to the end and not talking about any of the prelude stuff before then, as the Canucks end up giving up the empty net goal with 30 seconds to go. Now, earlier on in the period, just about 6 minutes beforehand, Conor Garland scored to bring the Canucks within 1. They were only down by 1 in the remaining 6 minutes of the game. As the Canucks ended up getting possession of the puck with about a minute to go in the entire frame, you had Brock Boeser and JT Miller kind of just stalling in their own zone, waiting for the breakout. At this point, John Garrett is saying that Colin Delia should probably be heading over to the bench right now, but Garrett then says, I don't know why he's not going. Delia is still in the net. As Boeser passes it back to OEL and he starts the trek up, he gives it back to Brock, and Colin Delia refuses to go to the bench. A little drop pass back to Miller. He realizes that Delia is not going, and Miller then circles back into his own zone and starts clamoring, yelling at Delia, "Get the F off!" The Canucks waste pretty much like 20 to 30 valuable seconds as Delia doesn't get off right away. JT Miller goes behind the net and bangs on the top of the back crossbar, which eventually forces Delia to go. The Canucks get it into the zone, and then there's a turnover, and the empty net is what seals the deal as Mark Scheifele gets a hat trick. Bad pass by Bo, by the way, getting clearly picked off by Adam Lowry, who throws it over for Scheifele. That's it. 4-2, the final score, as Colin Delia had a pretty good game, all things considered. It's just the end part of it that was ugly. And I saw some people saying, hey, you know, Miller doesn't really have the right to get upset at Delia in that situation. I mean, the Canucks had so many penalties, there was a penalty shot against, and Delia wasn't really helped out in any respect. Look at the amount of saves the guy had to make, and look at the kinds of saves that he was facing as well. What's Miller getting all pissy for? And sure, two things can be true at the same time. Yes, did Colin Delia probably make a mistake in the way he read that play? Yeah, he did. He should have been off ages ago. He should have been off the second Boeser passed it back to OEL behind the Canucks net, and OEL started to skate forward. The fact is, OEL was able to go back to Boeser. Boeser dropped it back to Miller. Miller circled behind the net again, and that's when Delia went off. About 20-ish seconds of time killed off by Winnipeg not even really doing anything, just the Canucks trying to break out, and they're not able to. That's true. However, what's also true is that the Canucks kind of played a bad game here today, and you could say it's because the Winnipeg Jets are a good team, which is definitely a fair excuse to make. You could also say Connor Hellebuyck had the Canucks' number in this one, but at the same time, I'd argue instead that the Canucks really just did not play all too greatly, because, I mean, look, Colin Delia was the busier goaltender of the two. Colin Delia had to make bigger and badder saves out of the goalies tonight as well. Connor Hellebuyck, sure, he got beat twice. One of the goals was a strange Conor Garland play where the puck deflected off the glass and Garland was at the goal line and he just shot it in off of Hellebuyck. And the other one was the Kuzmenko goal that took place like 40 seconds into the first period. But Connor Hellebuyck was good enough to stand in front and stand tall, stopping the Vancouver Canucks from tying things up. Now, let's just go over the box score here before we give some final thoughts because, I guess we covered the ending part of the game pretty thoroughly here. The first goal of the game, as we had said, Kuzmenko 41 seconds into the game. It's a great play by Elias Pettersson, who ends up taking out the Samberg clearing attempt, stealing it, and going right in front for Kuzmenko, who buries it right by Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck is thinking Pettersson shot all the way, which is why he overcommits to Petey, opening up that middle lane and opening up the right side of the net for Kuzmenko to shoot on. Second period is where the Jets get themselves their first of the night. It's Mark Scheifele who gets a power play goal, a very beautiful tip in front off of a Josh Morrissey shot. He tips it down towards the ice so that the puck bounces up and right over Colin Delia, making it 1-1, and then you had yourselves a few minutes later, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who gets a penalty shot. It's Ethan Bear who kind of hooks the guy as he's coming in on a breakaway, which gives the penalty shot award. And Pierre-Luc Dubois makes no mistake. He comes right in, he goes far side. It's 2-1 Winnipeg. Give it a few more minutes, and the Canucks end up going on the penalty kill once more. There's a lot of penalty shenanigans in this game that we're going to go out there and cover as well. But at the end of the period, it's Mark Scheifele who curls towards the middle. There's a big screen in front. Schenn is right there. So is, I believe it was Kyle Connor. And Scheifele ends up burying it right by. It's 3-1 Winnipeg at the end of the second period. As we had said later on, in the third, Conor Garland scored, making it 3-2, and then the Canucks had their miscommunication mishap towards the end of the third, which resulted in the Scheifele hat trick. But at the end of the day, the penalties in this one were definitely not great. I'm just going to go out there and read them here. Morgan Barron had a hook against Ethan Bear in the first period. Canucks did not score on that power play, but they looked really good. They had an extended shift time beyond the power play and its expiration, wherein they were just controlling it and cycling it, and they got a full change in there too. They looked really good, but they weren't able to convert. Second period, Dylan DeMello gets a high-sticking call on Lane Peterson. That one was also killed off. And then you have Peterson tripping on DeMello, Ethan Bear penalty shot hooking on Dubois, Ethan Bear boarding against Kyle Connor, and then Pierre-Luc Dubois interference against Bo Horvat, Travis Dermott interference against Mark Scheifele. The referees blew their whistles here tonight. Way too many penalties here for a Vancouver team that was trying to claw away with the victory. And to be fair, you could say they definitely had some momentum in the third period after killing off the Jack Studnicka hooking call on Heinola. When Conor Garland got himself the goal to bring the Canucks within one, I sort of started to believe. I was kind of thinking, oh, they actually can do this. They just need one really good shift, and it's probably in the back of the net. Connor Hellebuyck has not been tested all too much in this game. And then they just completely fade away. Like, the Jets had a really good control possession game in this one, where they just kind of cycled it in the offensive zone, kept it away from the Canucks. The reason why the Canucks weren't able to control with the 6-on-4 as early as they could have, aside from the Colin Delia shenanigans that went on, was because the Jets were just kind of offensive zone ragging it, and it was pretty effective seeing them kill the clock, just controlling it in the Canuck zone, getting a few shots out there, forcing Colin Delia to still be on his toes. But at the end of the day here, it's a Winnipeg win on a night where Colin Delia is the Canuck that everybody is going to be talking about. Delia and Miller, I guess, because Miller was very angrily yelling at the guy as he was skating behind the net. But time to consider your thoughts about this game over here. Canucks lose 4-2 to the Winnipeg Jets. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.